Guerrilla Jiu Jitsu black belt, top 5 welterweight in the UFC, Jon Fitch. Jon, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Now, we are here at the opening of the Guerrilla Jiu Jitsu Academy. And again, Dave is a very special man, especially for you. He brags about you all the time. The transition you've taken under Dave Camarillo, being the first student to go from white belt to black belt. Share a little bit of that experience with us.
I mean, it was a great experience to be lucky enough to run into Dave, because I came out to AKA and Dave wasn't here yet, and I think I got here in May and he showed up in November, and I was hesitant about taking jiu-jitsu in the gi because fighters, we don't fight in gis. Gis are gay. All the standard reasons for not ever wearing a gi. I had those for a few weeks, and then. I think one day Swick had been going for a little while, and I can't remember what he did. He did something to me. I remember specifically, and I was like, God damn it, how did Swick just do that? He's never been able to do that before. And I found out he'd been going to Dave's jiu-jitsu classes. So I was like, all right, well, I got to start going to these jiu-jitsu classes. And then it just became a religious thing every day, 2 to 3 hours a day in Dave's class, and, a lot of the morning classes too. And it was awesome at that time period to have come in, because Dave was fresh and new and super excited about teaching. And there wasn't that many students yet, because the word hadn't spread about how great of a teacher or how good Dave was at what he did yet. So it's kind of like, it was really lucky period of time for me to be selfish with Dave and get to spend a lot of time in his classes and learn from him. So I think that was a big deal in my advancement early on in my career.
I couldn't have subbed it up better myself. Now, Dave really preaches the concept of being a martial artist as opposed to a fighter. And we talked to Dave about that on the info at Pro MMA, and I remember seeing your comment on the Underground about that show. But again, recap some of that for us, how important it is to be a martial artist and not just a fighter. Because obviously you are a fighter, and a damn good one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fighter versus martial artist aspect, I think it's just, fighters fight for money, for respect, for fame. Martial artists, fights to test everything else he's doing, Martial arts, the training, the studying, everything is in place to kind of make you a better person, not just make you money or make you famous. If you can beat everybody up, but you're a jerk to everybody, it's still not, a complete person. You're still not a mixed martial artist. So there's a lot more to this fight game than just hurting people and making money.
Absolutely. And, an experience to touch on it, your most recent fight, fighting at UFC 100, what was that experience like, being on that card with all the fanfare, the UFC Expo? Was that a little surreal? Was that like, again, you're Jon Fitch, people know who you are, but was that like your first rock star experience?
Well, I mean, no, my first rock star experience was I went and saw Forrest Griffin versus Rampage when Forrest won. It was my first time the UFC had invited me to a show, and I went, and, I walked out the front door thinking, I'm going to walk back to my hotel room now. No. I walked out and just lights flashing everywhere. It was like a zombie movie. Everybody moving like real slow. Hey, can I get a picture? And it was crazy. It took an hour to get from the Mandalay Bay event center entrance to the elevators to get upstairs. I mean, I almost missed my dinner, and I had appointments and stuff. So it was crazy. I had Nate Moore. I had him pretend to be my bodyguard and tell people, "Oh no, we have an appointment. We have to leave."
Not a bad choice.
It was crazy. So yeah, I mean, yeah, that was like my first rock star experience. The UFC 100 was pretty intense too, because they were stalking. They were waiting for us at the check-in, the desk registry check-in at the hotel. There's people there waiting for pictures and autographs, and even people asking for interviews right there at the check-in desk. There's a place where they take you to drop your bags off, and you go check in with the UFC. When you first get there, there are people there waiting outside the hotel where you check your bags. That was a little intense. So. But, it's cool, and one of the cool things about our sport is that we are approachable to our fans, and you can still connect with us in those type of ways. So, it was a crazy experience, but it's still very cool.
Outstanding. And obviously, you're recently engaged. We talked about the effect that Dave has on you. How is settling down affecting you in your training?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you mean by settling down, because I kind of settled down when I first started really training seriously, because I stopped going out, I stopped getting crazy.
Eating organic.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I think is since being engaged and my girl moving in with me is the diet change. I've started eating way more organic. I've started eating less meat. So my body fat's come down. My off camp weight is much lower than it usually is. So when I'm roughly out of shape, I'm only 195 instead of 205. So the weight cut was much easier for the last fight. The weight came back on much easier after the weigh in. And just my overall, the way I feel day to day is better.
That's interesting you bring that up with the weight cut, because obviously you have your fellow teammates who are actually here today in attendance, Mike Swick and Josh Koscheck. Mm-hmm. You guys are all in the same weight class. You guys dominate the weight class. You're all up at the top of it. I had always assumed, with you being the biggest guy of the three, it may be more natural for you to go up to 185. But with this change in diet, that's probably not going to happen anytime soon.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's something that might be in the future. But I mean, as long as I have unfinished business at this weight class, it's not even a thought in my head right now. So until I get the strap at 170, like I'm not even thinking about anything else right now.
Okay. And again, being a black belt, two things here. How is it? Have you incorporated some of Dave's philosophies when you're in one of the Guerrilla Jiu Jitsu classes, when helping the lower belts, and then B, about competing in just Jiu Jitsu tournaments? We know Luke Rockhold, another Guerrilla Jiu Jitsu student, has done the World Championships. Is that something you've thought about doing?
Well, that's one of the things about fighting in the UFC. We can't really go out and do all the grappling stuff that we used to. Not only because they don't like it all the time, but it also puts you at risk for injury. I mean, you pop a shoulder, an arm, or whatever, and you're not making anywhere near what you are at a grappling tournament as you are in a fight.
Evidenced by the ring.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, you gotta go where the money is. So I miss the jiu-jitsu and stuff, but someday when I retire from fighting, there's a strong possibility I'll continue with grappling just for fun.
Outstanding. Yeah. And then again, the influence Davis had on you when you teach.
I won the Mundial Senior Absolute Division when I'm 60.
Yeah. I'll still be there to watch it, and you'll probably still have more hair than me at that point, too. But again, how is it Dave's philosophies in teaching impacted you when you help out the younger students at AKA?
I mean, just the concepts and the ideas behind the movement that he's teaching, I think. I try to follow not just the movements but the concepts, to put everything into context the way he does, because it's one thing to know a bunch of techniques, but to be able to know exactly when to use them, what the feel is for them, it's a much less paint by numbers approach, much more of a feel approach with Dave's style.
Outstanding. And again, Jon Fitch here with Pro MMA. Any sponsors you want to thank before we let you go today?
I want to thank Dethroned, MMAinstructional.com or MMA Fiestro, FitchFighter.com, and you can catch me on MySpace or Facebook.
Outstanding.
Twitter too, I think, but I only post like once a month.
I don't Twitter. It's too much for me.
Yeah, I might tweet later and say I was here.
Okay. Well, there you go. Well, Jon Fitch, thanks for joining us.
All right, thanks, man.